This fucking lighting. Let me just... Shit. That's not much better, but we'll work with it. Hey there, it's Lykos and welcome back to my channel. I am surprised I am still doing weekly videos by this point. I don't think I've ever been this... don't want to say committed, but you know, I've never followed through on something like this. Normally I just sort of forget or procrastinate to the point where it just doesn't end up happening at all. Yeah. But I asked on Instagram whether you guys wanted to see another somewhat serious video or a fun video, and for some reason you guys all wanted a serious video again. I did mention brief topics and said I would ask you guys what you wanted to see out of those topics, depending on which one won, and I didn't end up doing that because when the Let's Talk idea won, I figured there was something I should probably talk about at some point, and now gives me the perfect opportunity to. This is another serious video, and I am probably going to laugh at inappropriate times and make really bad jokes. Because I'm me. So a while ago on Instagram, I think it was a few months back, I posted this picture. And if you didn't know, this picture has caused a lot of fucking messages and comments on my Instagram, as well as every picture since. If you haven't noticed, and if you haven't, you're probably blind. There are several scars down my left arm in this picture, and they just sort of appeared out of nowhere because for the last... I don't even know how many years I have been editing that arm to remove those, or at least make the more obvious ones in that picture less obvious, for several reasons. Those being, I was not comfortable with them, and I didn't want to have messages about them. So I recently decided I would stop doing that because it was a fucking waste of time, mostly. And also because I have decided that it's time to. Personally, I have dealt with self-harm for several years and came through the other side of it and have been ashamed of it. I shouldn't be, but I have been. And I had edited it out because I didn't want people to see them. And I decided that I should stop doing that because it's part of me, part of my life, part of my journey, and I shouldn't do that. But the second I stopped editing them out, there was an influx of DMs and fucking comments pointing them out. Oh my fucking god, I cannot express how much this fucking annoyed me. I don't have any issue with people showing that they care and stuff like that. No issue to me. I don't mind if people message me saying, hey, are you okay? I've noticed this. Doesn't bother me. What does bother me is when people leave comments like, I see self-harm scars. That's self-harm. Why do you self-harm? Especially when it's very obvious that they're scars, is the other thing. Why do you self-harm implies that I still do it. I don't. They're scars. And I don't think bringing up something that someone, you know, visually struggled with, like that you can literally see caused issues in their life, and asking why. Or what happened. I don't see how that's something that people think is a good idea. I've expressed this on Instagram, and I said I would make a video about it at some point, or a post about it, and I never made a post, so I thought I should talk about it now. Yeah, there's things you should not make comments about, and that to me is one of them. Some people are okay with the comments. I just think you should pay attention to what person's personal preference towards mental health is. I'm one who's open to talk about it. I don't mind people asking questions as long as they're respectful. If you're just gonna sit there and point it out, what's that gonna do to someone? What's that gonna help with? I don't see why that's necessary. They're pretty fucking obvious. Yeah, I don't see why it's something you need to... I mean, you can fucking see them now. Like, I don't see why you need to be pointing this shit out to people. You don't need to. That's basically what I'm saying here. But yeah, let's actually talk about this a bit so that people can stop fucking asking me. I have dealt with self-harm for 6, 7 years maybe less. I want to say around that time. I don't remember when it started, honestly. I was quite young, and it wasn't good. It wasn't something I should have done, but I was like a child and didn't know how to deal with things. I was at the time dealing with gender identity issues. I hadn't come out. I was somewhere between the age of 10 and 15. Not quite sure when about it started. I'd always struggled with that, so and always had these ideas that, you know, I could, but I don't know when it actually did. You know, yeah, it was something I struggled with for several years, and something that affected my life greatly, and still affects me to this day. I don't self-harm anymore. I've been clean for well over a year, I'd like to say. I think. I don't actually know when I stopped. I just know it's been a while. I don't keep track of that sort of thing because I don't want to. I don't want to feel like I have to. It's something I want to move past from, rather, but not forget. I mean, it's kind of hard to forget when you physically scarred your body, but I don't want it to be ignored. I don't want it to be pushed aside and act like it never happened. I do want people to stop asking stupid questions about it, or doing stupid things like pointing them out, or literally staring at me from across the street, which I get a lot. Or even people in my own course building will stare at my arm for like an hour, and I'm just like, why? I don't understand what the big deal is. It happened, it's over, move on. And when I expressed that I didn't like people pointing them out, people got angry. And I was just like, why? It's my body. I don't understand why people need to point it out. That's like walking up to me and going, hey, you have piercings in your face. No fucking shit. They're right there. They are literally right there. You can see them. You can see them from a distance. You can see them up close. They're obvious. And I don't see why you need to point out something that's obvious. And that's how I feel about the scars. It was something in my life that was really big deal in my life. I have been ashamed of them for a long time, and I need to stop being ashamed of them, and I need to be open to talk about it, and I am open to talk about it. If you're not rude. I have openly shared my story with a few people who have come to me being like, hey, I deal with this, how did you stop? And I'm open to talk about coping mechanisms and stuff like that. But just sitting there and pointing them out to me seems completely pointless. But yeah, so self-harm scars, don't point them out. Back to the story of them. I was not in... I don't want to say a bad high school, because it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I wasn't strongly liked, I wasn't strongly disliked. It was sort of mutual. People didn't like me, people liked me. Some people had nothing to do with me. Other people avoided me like I was the fucking plague. Either way, it wasn't a big deal. Until it got to the point where I started dressing how I dress now and was more comfortable with my body, and then people started making insults at me, and I sort of reclused, and I think that's another reason I delved into it, because I stopped really communicating with my friends at that point about issues. So I think that's another reason it continued on. In intermediate, I had about 4 or 5 friends maybe, at most. Real friends, other people who sort of just put up with me because I was in their friend group, stuff like that. But I spent a lot of time alone. So I didn't develop a lot of communication skills at the age of 11 and 12 because I spent literally all of my time alone drawing. And that was my way of coping with everything that was going on in my head, but it also didn't help enough to me. And I think that's why a few years later I stopped drawing completely, because I thought, why am I doing something that's not doing anything for me? I enjoyed it, but by that point it didn't matter, because I was so caught up in this self-destructive cycle that no matter what I did, it didn't matter if it wasn't benefiting me. I didn't care if it made me happy, I didn't care if it made my life miserable. If it did something for me that was slightly going to cope, then it would stay. If it didn't do that, it was going. I gave up on music, I gave up on art, I stopped reading, which was fucking weird. I don't know why I did that. Still to this day have no explanation as to why the reading stopped. It makes no sense to me now, but probably made sense to me then. I took up gaming quite a lot, because I could play a character rather than read about it. And I still game now, but I also read and I draw and I play piano and violin again. So all of these things in my life were sort of being picked up and thrown away as time went on, and the one thing that stayed was the self-destructive things, like self-harm. And I regret that the most, honestly. When I picked up drawing again, I realized how much better it made me feel to sit and spend an hour sketching bullshit. I didn't care if it looked good. I was having fun. It could be a stick man skiing down a mountain for all I cared. It was fun. And I think that's when I started to realize that this self-destructive cycle wasn't working for me. And I had decided that was it. That was gonna be it. It would stop. It wasn't easy. There were times where I relapsed. And this was leading up to me coming out as well. And it was really difficult for me. And even after I had decided to stop, and I'd had stopped and I'd been clean for about a month or so, I wouldn't wear short sleeves because I wasn't sure how people would react, because I'm not sure anyone knew it was going on at the time. I think there might have been a few people who noticed, but nothing was really said. And I don't blame anyone for not saying anything. It's really difficult to know what to say when you approach someone who you think is doing that to themselves. But I encourage you to do it. Find something to say. Don't just be like, hey, I saw your arm. But just sit them down and go, hey, is everything okay? I'm a little worried about you. Someone who's dealing with self-destructive habits will appreciate someone showing care for them. You can't always help someone, but you can give them the want to get help for themselves, or help themselves. Because in reality, the only person who can stop you is you, because you have to physically stop it. Other people can be there as support, but you literally have to stop it. No one else can spend 24 hours, 7 days a week for the rest of your life stopping you from doing it. You have to make that choice, and if you don't make that choice, you're never gonna stop it. And I think that was the biggest change for me, was deciding that this was it. I took up drawing again, like I said, and I did that as a coping mechanism. I swapped out self-destructive habits for that. I started playing piano again. I just started doing anything I could that would distract me from, I'm not gonna say problems in life. By this point, when I took up music again, I'd come out. So my biggest problem there was gone. Not gone, but you know, it was somewhat dealt with. I'd come out, my parents knew, and by the September of that year, everyone knew. Not everyone liked it, but they knew. and my life started to change for the better from there. And I think it was easier to sit back and look at my life and go, I have made the right choice to change myself, but I wish I'd done it sooner. And at the time then, I was like, oh my god, I hate what I've done to myself. I wish I could have stopped it sooner, or I wish I never started. I wish I came back when I was 10 years old. I wish I came out as soon as I figured it out. I wish I'd not delved into the self-destructive habits. I wished I hadn't wanted to kill myself. And I did wish that for most of last year and 2016. But this year, I have come to realize that those things that I have done and the things I dealt with and the things I did and didn't do have crafted me into the person I am now. And I have to deal with certain physical repercussions like the scars and the things people say to me about my scars and the things I have to deal with from other people having come out who don't like it. But I'm okay with dealing with those for the rest of my life, knowing if I hadn't gone through it, I wouldn't be me. But there is a want to have gone back and said, hey, you don't need to do this. And I wish I could be without the scars and without the mental health issues I grew up with. But I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't probably have kept my Instagram, which is a really big part of my life now. I would never have met some of the best people in my life via things like social media, or I probably never would have taken up art again if it wasn't for the issues I had, which means I never would have gone to college. Because I'm at an art school, and if I didn't do art, I couldn't really be there. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory in that part. So I'm not ashamed of them, and I don't want there to be a stigma around self-harm. It's something I think people should be able to openly talk about. I think there should be an open community talking about mental health as if it's normal. Because the more we abnormalize it, the less it's going to be easier for these people dealing with it to openly state, hey, I have a problem and I need help. So I think it's something we should talk about. Came out, and then I got professional help. I started seeing a counselor and a psychologist for transitional reasons, and in that time we got a chance to talk about what had gone on in the past few years. And then I openly talked about it, and that was the first time I'd ever sat up and stated, this is what I've done. And that was a huge relief to get off my chest. So if someone you know is dealing with self-harm, please talk to them, please offer them support. Don't be an asshole about it, just be kind, be friendly, and show that you care about them. Most of all is probably the best thing you can do. And if you are struggling with self-harm, there are hundreds of helplines out there, both online and specifically for countries. There are medical professionals available in every country. I don't care whether you go see one face to face or whether you text a helpline. Anytime you're feeling the need to, just do something. Don't just sit there and let it happen to you, because it's not worth it. It doesn't help, and I wish I'd realized that sooner, but I didn't. And I wish I could, take it back and not have done it. But it is part of who I am, so I shouldn't be ashamed of it now that it's happened, but I do wish it didn't happen. But yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna leave this video, because I don't really know what else to talk about without going into detail, and I don't want to trigger anyone, so I'm not gonna do that. I don't think I ever will do that, because again, you don't want to trigger people. You do have to be careful with these sort of things about what you do and don't talk about. People should be talking about the grisly sides of things, and all the dark and the really, things that you don't talk about. but I'm not gonna do that because I don't know a way to go about it that is not gonna harm someone. And so I think I'm just gonna do it the safest way possible and leave it here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's not a very, I mean, I don't want to say it's an unhappy video. There's positives, a lot of positives to this video. I get to explain some shit and possibly offer you guys some help. I will leave some helplines in the description below if you need them. If you're struggling with trans-related things, there is now a US trans helpline. I'll leave that below if you are in the US that is specifically trans-related, which is really helpful. I don't know if there's one in other countries, but I'm pretty sure most helplines will just deal with it as it is. Contact a helpline or contact a loved one or your professional if you see a counselor or something. Just get the help. It really will change your life, being free of it. This video is not going to be very entertaining. It's still serious. Next week's video, I promise, will not be as serious as this, and it'll be more lighthearted. It isn't going to be a serious video. It won't be about any of the shit I've spoken about in the last 2 weeks. It'll be a more relaxed and chill and you know, not talking about mental health. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Give a comment if you did like this video as well. Let me know what you want to see out of my channel. If you want to see more content like this, but maybe less depressing, then hit the subscribe button. All of my social media will also be in the description box below. And yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it here. Stay you, stay awesome, don't ever be afraid to be yourself, and don't ever forget to smile. Over and out.